San Gabriel is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We are a movement working for a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. Sustaining each other here in community is one part of that work.
Good morning. I'm Eric Hepburn. I'm your pulpiteer. My pronouns are he, him. I'm honored and full of joy to be here this morning. Now, this is the first Sunday in September, and our normal deal on first Sundays is that we are going to do a worship service themed on the Soul Matters theme, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on this morning. But the topic for today and for this month is living love through the practice of invitation. So I'm inviting you to let that phrase enter your heart as you join me in reciting the words to light our chalice. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. Let us greet this day in song. Today's song comes to us from the Teal hymnal. It is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. The lyrics will be projected. Please rise in body or spirit as you're able. Sometimes we're carrying something on our heart that can prevent us from being fully present. Medicine is sharing, and sharing is medicine. aim at 2 strong sentences. So if you are willing to share a sorrow, to practice your grief publicly, I invite you to do so. Please raise your hand for the microphone. It is time for the Wonder Box. Mr. Hepburn, would you please bring forward the Wonder Box? Now, there's an object in the Wonder Box, and that's one clue. And there's also a written clue. This week's Wonder Box clue is, it would be leather if it wasn't for the fur. Thank you, sir. It would be leather if it wasn't for the fur. Ooh, say a little louder. Ooh, I'm hearing guesses that are absolutely on target, but I'm not hearing the word I'm looking for. Oh, I think Chuck, pelt? Did you say pelt, Chuck? Somebody's, oh. A pelt. A pelt. Now, I have to admit, I didn't have a good pelt at home. This is actually a really bad Life of Brian beard. But it looks very pelty, so we'll take it. We'll take it. All right. So, as I said, we're going to be talking about the Soul Matters curriculum today and plugging it in various ways. I was fortunate that as I was looking through the packet this week, there was a story in the packet from one of my favorite scholars of ancient myth, a man named Martin Shaw. And the story is called The Hunter and the Fox Woman. And that's the story I'm going to share with you now. Once upon a time a long time ago, there was a hunter. And like you, the hunter was on his way home after a long day at work, feeling tired, his boots wet. And he neared his cottage and he saw something that really frightened him. He saw a plume of blue smoke rising from the cottage. So he crept up quietly, and he approached the cottage door, and he peered inside. And this is what he saw. He saw the table laid, beautifully prepared meal on the table. He saw that someone had gathered together his dirty and tattered clothes and given them a washing, even a little bit of mending. Whoever had prepared the meal had cleaned up the kitchen a bit. Well, he was surprised. No one had ever shown him this kind of kindness before. That's the important bit. No one had ever been kind like this to him before. So he goes back out in the woods the next day, and this continues. He continues to come home and find this lovely place set for him by unknown hands. Now, I suspect you wouldn't have waited as long as he did, but toward the end of the week, he had an idea. I think I'll come home early. Now, I'm guessing you guys might not have waited 3 or 4 or 5 days, but the hunter did. He's a patient man. So he waited, and he snuck home early. The plume is coming out of the thing, and he creeps up to the door, and he opens the door, and he sees, standing at the counter in the kitchen, back turned to him, a woman with a river of dark red hair flowing down her back. And he knows, as all hunters would know, that this is Fox Woman dreaming. She's part fox, part woman, part spirit of the forest. And she knows, as all women know, when you're being watched. So she turns, very self-possessed, very nonchalant, towards him and says, I will be the woman of this hut. Very flamenco. I will be the woman of this hut. Well, the hunter knows a good thing when he sees it. And he looks at her, the food, the clothes, a place that has been disheveled, starting to feel the touches of home, and he says, yes, yes, yes. And the night that they had that night was very sweet. You can imagine the little candle on the table, the partially empty bottle of wine, some good food. Turns out she knows a lot of jokes. Turns out he knows a few stories. Turns out she knows a few old songs. And as they are sharing with each other, you begin to sense the swan feather cloak of love wrapping itself around them as they shared this evening together. It's the kind of evening that leaves all of us a little bit jealous in its wake. So, now here's the thing that you need to know about the foxwoman. She had a pelt, and here's how she managed it. You all have pelts. So she took her pelt and hung it on the back of the front door. It just hung there, a deep red glimmering, emitting sparks of red firelight from the pelt. And if any of you have been close to a fox, you'll know that a fox's pelt gives off a powerful, regal, and natural aroma. It's a strong thing, a powerful thing. So as their life in the hut together goes on and the pelt stays there on the door, it begins to permeate everything in the hut. The hunter smells it on his clothes. He smells it in his beard. The smell starts to permeate everything. He can't get the smell out of his nose. And one night at dinner, it's starting to get to him a bit, and he turns and he says this. Oh, star-bright love of my life, you are whiter than the swan on the pool, more tuneful than the fiddle. When I first laid eyes on you, I believed that the moon herself had fallen from the sky into a field of wild flowers and began singing a song, an ancient song that I had waited my whole life to hear. But there's just this one thing. There's just this one thing. It's the pelt. It is awfully strong. I'm not saying the pelt is a bad thing. I'm not suggesting that you should burn the pelt. I'm simply wondering if, given a tight domestic situation such as we have here, if it might not be possible to, I don't know, hang the pelt outside of the house or hang it in a tree nearby. I was wondering about that. Well, the foxwoman looks at him like you look at him, with that look of disappointment. And she thinks to herself, maybe it's just a phase. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't move the pelt. Time goes on. The days turn into more weeks. It begins to become an obsession for the hunter. He can't stop smelling the pelt, even when he's out in the woods hunting. It's all he can smell. And he can't stop perseverating about it in his own mind. So imagine the scene. They're at dinner again. The little candle is there. The bottle of wine is there. And maybe the hunter's had a bit too much to drink. And the floweriness has left his language, and some of the kindness is oozed out of his heart. And he's at the table and he says, I told you once, get rid of the pelt. They go to bed that night. Hunter wakes up. Foxwoman is gone. The pelt is gone. And the scent is gone. And they say truly that to this day, the hunter stands in his doorway, lonely to the very marrow of his being for the scent of the foxwoman. Lonely to the center of his being for the scent of the foxwoman. That's the story. Children and youth wishing to go to their groups are welcome to exit. Everyone else, will you join us in singing them out? And now, as our anthem this morning, I present Mel Moss and Joe Nesham performing Just a Little Rain by the Brothers Four from the year 1960.
He's bound heaven, but maybe he's wrong. His farm is black land, all level and plain. The only thing missing, boys, is just a little rain. Load on your big thunder and roll me in your arms. Dash me with your lightning and save my little farm. Load down your big thunder and roll me in your arms. Splash me with your water, but save my little farm. Now your wheat shows green right early in the year. You buy some more calves, you've got nothing to fear. The weather is fine and there's grass upon the range. The only thing missing, boys, is just a little rain. Low down your big thunder and roll me in your arms. Dash me with your lightning and save my little farm. Low down your big thunder and roll me in the ground. And splash me with your water, but save my little farm. You may keep your nerve through June and July, till along comes August in the same blue sky. The sinners will pray and the saints complain. They cry, oh Lord, won't you send us some rain. Low down your big thunder and roll me in your arms. Dash me with your lightning and save my little farm. Low down your big thunder and roll me in your arms. Splash me with your water, but save my little farm.
I invite you into a place of deeper stillness and reflection with the poem, The Guest House by Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. This being human is a guest house. Every morning has a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
So, today we're, let's say, 1/3 PSA and 2/3 sermon. The PSA part of what we're doing today looks like this. As I said, we're talking about the Soul Matters topic, so I owe you, especially the new among us, a little explication about what Soul Matters is and why I think it matters enough to sit up here and talk to you about it. So, Soul Matters is a curriculum developed by a group of UU ministers. They put a lot of effort and energy into it, and a lot of love and attention and kindness, and I think it shows through in the quality of the work. So, every month, from the month of September that we're in now through the month of June, they produce a packet. To save printer ink, I didn't produce the pretty cover page. This is just the text version for me. But this packet can be whatever you need it to be in the following way. If you get really caught up in the topic and want to spend your whole month down a rabbit hole, there is enough in this packet for you to do that. There are 3 full-length books referenced in this packet. There's probably 6 hours of YouTube videos referenced in this packet. There are 3 feature-length films referenced in this packet. There is a Spotify playlist of associated music referenced in this packet. There are, let me count, A, B, C, D, E, F. There are 7 different experiential embodied exercises that you're invited to possibly do. You're usually encouraged to only pick one of those 7, but there are 7 there. And then there's a list of 13 questions. And you're invited to look at those questions and pick a question that resonates with you and have that question be something that you reflect on, meditate on. Now, let's get down to the brass tacks of busy people. You can, as I have done many a week, and I've been doing Soul Matters curriculum since before the pandemic. I was running a group before the pandemic. We transitioned to online, and I continued doing that work for the last several years that I was at the First UU Church of Austin. And some weeks, you're meeting on Monday night, and Monday afternoon, you're like, oh heck, I didn't get there yet. And you go and read a little bit, and you pick an exercise that you think you can do in 37 minutes. And then you pick a question, the first one that pops off the page at you, and you write a paragraph so you can show up to group not entirely unprepared. And there's no shame in that. I just want to point this out. I'm making a little bit of self-fun about this. But you can show up to group like that. You know what? I can show up to group and I can carve out 1 hour, 2 hours before group to engage with this packet because that's the bandwidth that I have. You can still show up to group and get a tremendous amount out of it and out of your participation in it. Now, on the other hand, you could pick up the packet the moment you get out of your last meeting from the previous month, and you can do some of these amazing exercises. Now, I will tell you, as I said at the beginning, the story that I shared with you, that's right here, option B. Struggle with that story. And I hope I did the story enough justice that you see that there's quite a bit of meat there to be struggled over. So we'll talk about that a little more. But here's another one, just to give you a flavor of the thing. Here's another option. It's challenging you as a you, perhaps a you who had experienced being proselytized in ways that did not feel like kind invitations, to invite somebody to church. Oh, ooh, I don't know about that. Inviting people to church sounds like dangerous territory. Doesn't it? Isn't that the culture we live in? For us who self-identify as religious liberals, the idea of inviting other people to church feels like, I'm pretty sure there's a painted line on the floor, and that is on the other side of it. But what if, and this is what this is inviting you to do, what if it's not a, I think you're broken, we can fix you? What if it's not that at all? What if it's like, hey, as we've talked in the coffee break room over the last 3 years of working together, I've heard in you a hunger for community and a hunger for justice. And I wanted to share with you that this community that I'm a part of has helped be that for me. And it makes me curious about whether or not it might be able to be that for you too. That's a question only you can answer. But I want to invite you to come with me and see. Right? That's a really different kind of invitation. Just something to think about. All right. So let's see. There was one other one. Here's my other favorite thing about Soul Matters. Now, the 7th exercise and the 13th question are always the same. And it sounds something like this. I'm not really reading from it. I'm ad-libbing. If I missed you in my first 6 guesses, make up your own thing. Right? If you read an invitation to love, and then you read the six prompts or the 6 exercises and the 12 questions, and none of them really resonated with the heart of what that evoked for you, please tell us. Tell us, your fellows in this group, how this invitation landed for you in a way that was different than what we thought of. Please use your creativity and your imagination and answer to this calling of your own spirit in response to these prompts and these ideas and these quotes and all the material that's here. That's my PSA. So, later in this week, if you are on the church's mailing list or registered as a member of the church, you're going to get an email from me, and it's going to invite you to say whether or not you're interested in being in a small group this coming year. That thing I'm going to send out is the definitive, please opt in or out. You can reply to it and ask any questions that I don't answer in the email, and I will do my best to answer them. Maybe I'll have a one-on-one phone call with you. We'll figure it out. But I'm going to use the data from that survey to figure out how we're going to do small groups this year. Okay? I've had meetings with the small groups leaders. We've got kind of a back-of-the-napkin strategy plan. I know I've got some members in the audience who would like to do at least one group that's maybe not a Soul Matters group, but more of a science fiction reading group. So I'll include at least enough back-of-the-napkin sketching on that. So if that's something you're interested in, you could say, ooh, that sounds interesting. Okay, last line of the PSA. Small group ministry is a way that you build relationship with one another that you cannot do just over coffee. It's intentional. You're learning how to listen, how to really show up and be a good listener, How to not think about what you're going to say next when you're not speaking. Oh, I don't know about you. It took me years of practice to even start to feel like I might have some competence in this area. But it's structured in such a way to help you practice those things that you can admit are important, but maybe you haven't found a way to practice them. And we don't get better at these important things without practice. So, and when you stop to really listen to the people in your group, you get to know them deeply. And that deep knowing, I used to say this when I was doing organizational performance and management work. Look, you can't wait until a disaster happens to develop the relationships you need to manage the disaster. You have to do the relationship building work up front. Those relationships have to be there as a precondition for being ready for crisis. The relationship is what you call on when the proverbial feces hits the fan. You can't wait until it's spinning around the room to decide, oh, you know what I need some buddies. I'm going to need some friends for this, to clean this up. That's not the moment. The moment was before the feces was in the catapult even. You build the relationships. Hey, I just want to know that you're in this with me just in case. Just in case something happens. Are we in this together? But that is not enough. Like, I can do that over coffee. Are we in this together? But I don't understand why we're in it together until I really take the time to get to know you and understand, where are you in your struggle in life? What is it that brings you here? What is it that your soul is calling you to in this life that we're in together? And this is a place where you will have the honest, earnest opportunity to learn that about one another. And that's why I encourage it. And that's why I think it's important. And that's why, to be honest, it's an important part of the way that life has trained me to be able to show up here and do what I do. So, PSA over. Now I'm going to do the non-PSA portion, but I'm going to still use this. I'm going to use this as a prompt for going deeper in a sermon on this topic of love and invitation. So as I said, exercise number, what was it? I think it was B this month. Exercise B was struggle with this foxwoman story. How is this story trying to offer me a message of comfort, a message of challenge, or reconnection with an important memory? What have I lost through my decisions to disinvite the difficult? Where am I being invited to embrace and invite the full experience of something, the parts that are easy and beautiful, as well as the parts that stink? Well, it's not going to surprise y'all that I'm in an option 7/13 kind of mood this morning. Those questions didn't do the trick for me, so I got my own question here. All right. It sounds a little something like this. We like to think of love as a tame thing. When I invite love in, it's going to feel good. I'm going to be comforted. And if the singers are right, it's going to make my life easier. Isn't that the story we get from the culture? Oh, if you have to work that hard, maybe it's not true love. Y'all heard that? You've heard that toxic message before? If you have to work that hard, maybe he's not the right one. Maybe she's not the right one. If it's so hard. This is a toxic message, folks. I'm calling it out in front of you because it is so toxic. And because its repetition passes as conventional wisdom out there in the culture. I'm going to bring in some words from one of my mentors, Stephen Jenkinson. The love of the lovable thing is no feat. It is no feat to love a newborn puppy that you just brought home. That thing oozes lovability. There's no effort on your part. It's like saying I slid all the way to the bottom of the slip and slide. Yes, you did. Did you step on it? Okay, inevitable consequence. No effort on your part. There was no work involved in getting to the bottom of the slip and slide. Just the decision to step on. Loving the lovable thing is no great feat. Now, loving the incontinent, drooling, gray-haired dog who's on the verge of whether euthanasia is a kindness or not, that's hard. That is the shoulder of love put to the grindstone of work and life. Loving your partner when you're in the honeymoon phase and everything is easy and great and smooth is no great accomplishment. But for those of you who've been in relationships for a while, it ain't all that smooth. There are moments that test you. There are periods in your life and relationship that test you together. Those are the moments where you earn that love. I'll tell you a personal story. I had always thought of my stepdad's love for my mother as being a little bit shallow. And I'm going to redeem him. My mom is long gone, but my stepdad is still alive, and this is not an indictment of him in any way. This was about my preconceptions about having a stepdad who came into my life at 13 and just, dealing with not understanding how different people are in the universe. But any doubts that I had were radically shifted when my bedridden mother dying of brain cancer, when I watched him come in and turn her and change her diapers and care for her. You see, it wasn't the fun moments that they had riding motorcycles up and down the coast or doing any of the other number of things that they did that they enjoyed doing together. That wasn't the moment that I knew his love for her was real. You follow me? The moment that I knew how deep it was when I saw a man who would refuse to eat vegetables some nights at dinner, change a diaper on an adult woman. That's when I knew how deep it was. And that wasn't a lesson for him. He had learned that lesson. That lesson was for me. So, we want to think that when the pelt of love is hung on the back of our hut door, it's going to make the cottage smell like potpourri or grilled onions or whatever our favorite smell is. That's what we want to imagine. That's what the fairy tales in our culture inspire us to imagine. What if love always smells like a wild beast? What if love is an invitation to a level of uncertainty that you would normally not endure or entertain? The deeper, the less conditional your love is, the more unruly things it will ask of you. Love is not here for your comfort. And love, I'm not saying love is never a comforting thing. That moment when you see deep love between people you care about or directed at yourself is deeply comforting. To know that you are seen, to know that you are loved for you. That is a deeply comforting thing. But what love demands of you, the flip side of that comfort, is rarely a comfortable thing. It smells like an adult's diaper. It looks like that moment when you're petting that old, blind, drooling dog and wondering which path is more kind in this moment. Now, I hope that through both the Rumi poem that we read and through the story that I shared with you, that you're starting to suspect what I'm trying to get at today. I'm just so grateful to have a mentor like Lou Sneed, who pokes me very gently at the end of some Sundays with questions like, what is it that you... All right, now. The best love is mutual, but it's not always gentle or comfortable. What is it that you wanted us to get out of this today? Okay, well, I'm going to be proactive today. What I want you to get out of this today is that this invitation into a deeper practice of love, I don't want you to walk into it with false expectations that we are inviting you to a kumbaya celebration. Although there will be nights like that. Amen. There will be nights when celebrating our love with each other and it's overflowing in our lives and feeling the ecstasis of that will be the center. That will happen. And there will be days when you are asked to put that love to the grindstone. There will be days when you are asked to open your door or your heart or your wallet to a moment or a person or a situation that you're not comfortable with. I'm going to use a dumb example. And this is, y'all know that I'm not about shame, and this is not about that. But Michelle was talking today about getting driver's license. And when that conversation came up in this church a few months ago, I heard a lot of, well, does that, if we let them use the church's address as their address, might that adversely affect us in some way? Could it affect our insurance rates? Could it do this? Could it do that? Could it? This is what I mean. Sometimes in the course of loving, you are going to be asked to put some things that you genuinely are concerned about at risk. Are you feeling me? Because if you think that we're going to do this work together and you're going to continue your quiet, unperturbed life, you've hired the wrong guy. I'm just saying straight up, like, I am going to push you to go to the next thing that asks you to move into a space where, yeah, maybe the corrupt insurance industry is not going to approve of the decision you just made. Yeah, maybe they're not. Are they your morality, or is love your morality? Now, I'm going to read you one other thing here. This is a poem called Clearing by Martha Postlewaite. Do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands and you recognize it and greet it. Only then will you know how to give yourself to this world so worthy of rescue. Only then will you know how to give yourself to this world so worthy of rescue.
offering each week to sustain this spiritual home and to support the work of our fellowship. If you're visiting, we invite you to fill out a visitor card, which you can put in the plate or return to the desk in the back. For offertory music, we have 16 Tons by Merle Travis. And our performers, they're going to do this, are Joe Nieschheim and Mel Moss. Let's hear it. Let's go.
Some people say man is made out of blood. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked the mine. I loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal. The straw boss said, well, bless my soul, you load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain. Fighting and trouble are my middle name. I was raised in a cane wreck by an old mama line. Can't no high-tone woman make me walk the line. You own 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
Sometimes we're called to add our voice to the chorus, to speak aloud the message in our hearts. Words are medicine. Aim at 2 strong sentences. If you're called to reflect on or resonate with today's message, please raise your hand for the microphone. That was fast, Lou.
I want to thank you, Eric, for the sermon today. I got every word of it. I got the point. And it makes me wonder, thanks to the story you told about your stepdad, who in my life that I'm counting on to turn me over in moments of need, and who in my life that I need to be prepared to turn over in their moment of need. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Chuck Collins. The story today reminded me of an incident that happened at our house. When you're raising kids, you don't really know if you're doing a good job. I never did. And you don't find that out until after they're adults. And so I wasn't sure about my oldest son because we had so much, he was a difficult kid to live with when he was a teenager. So he lives with us, and his family lives with us. And one day when my grandson was probably 2 or 3, I overheard this from my bedroom. He wanted Phoenix to do something that Phoenix didn't want to do, probably clean his room or something like that. And Phoenix, at that age, you're very manipulative. So he told his dad, "I don't love you anymore." And this is when I knew that my I was probably a pretty good father, because he turned to him and he said, "Oh, you don't get this. Your love is not required." All right, and so he just went off into this room. And what I got from that, what popped in my head was, "Oh, I love you enough to care what what happens to you, what you do, but I don't need your love back for me to love you." And so that little story made me feel proud.
Thank you.
I'm going to follow up on your PSA. Having been a member here and a member there and whatever, and here they were connection groups, other places they've been covenant groups, chalice circles, whatever you want to call them in the UU world. I have always found really great, I don't know if benefit's the right word, but made those connections, made lifelong connections. Where we came from, those are the people we're going back when they pass away, because they were all older than us and they're in that time of their lives. And we pick up the phone and call them and talk every now and again. And so I really strongly encourage anybody that has the time in their day, week, month, if they can do it. And I'm one of those people that, at 11 on Tuesday morning, I'm pulling it out and looking at it because we're meeting at 2. So, but I still get great benefit from it.
Hi, I'm Rob. And Eric, I'd like also thank you for an excellent sermon today and the PSA. And because of your PSA, I'm president of this organization for the moment, and my plate's pretty full, but I'm going to try and carve out some time for that small connection group.
I'm Linda Mueller, and thank you, Diane. I first met Diane, oddly enough, in a connection group years and years ago, way back when it started here, in 2012 or 15. And our friendship is, even though we're no longer in the same group, that connection was so powerful. And that's what helps in this church. As we move from group to group, we get to know all of us. And in fact, one of the problems in the past, having been one of the original people to get a group organized, was that once a person was in a group, they did not want to move the next year into another group. And I can't say enough about the ancillary materials at the back of the Soul Matters lessons. There is so much to consider. You could take a year doing one lesson. Eric is absolutely right. And so I do want to say it's one of the most cherished aspects of attending this fellowship are the groups.
And I concur.
Pam.
A little shout out again for Diane Dancer. She was the leader of our connections group when we first joined in 2019. Then the pandemic shutdown happened, and we continued to meet with using Zoom, and we kept that up for, it was over like a couple years, wasn't it, Diane? So, it meant a lot to Woody and I, so I appreciate everybody that is involved.
And I just want to add, too, how proud I was of our group. I don't think anyone in the group knew anything about Zoom. And one by one, we all got in there and hung in there. And it was wonderful.
All right. Thank you for sharing. If you are called to share an announcement with your siblings, now is the time. Please raise your hand for the microphone if you have an announcement. Siblings.
Okay. I said something last week. I'll say something again this week, and then I'm going to leave it alone for a little while. The new choir/music group is going to start meeting this week. We are currently slated to meet on Thursday evening here at 7:30. If you are interested, either come talk to me, or there is now a sign-up sheet on the welcome table. feel free to sign up, and I will get back to you as soon as I can with any additional details or information about what we're actually looking for, or what we need.
I've got two announcements. I am on the membership team, and I made the suggestion a while ago, and I don't know who executed it, but in the back of the seat pockets are these envelopes that say donation. And this is for folks that might want to put in cash in the basket, but want it credited to their name toward their pledge or their, so those are there, so use them. That's great. Thank you to Pam, maybe? Okay. I don't know who did it, but thank you to the mystery person. The second announcement, this is to our newer members and our visitors over the last few months. On September 22nd, that's 3 weeks, I guess, from today, we're having an orientation session for people to learn a little bit more about what Unitarian Universalism is all about, and more specifically what this congregation is all about, and with the hopes that maybe you'd like to join us as a member, but if you just want to find out more about us, that's okay too. We have a sign-up sheet on a clipboard back there at the table. There are several names on there. I'm going to start reaching out to folks this week to get your commitment whether you're coming or not, and then we'll move forward and hope you can join us.
On behalf of the social justice team, I want to remind all of you that racism still exists in Georgetown, Texas, and Williamson County, and that our civic leaders are not concerned about the symbols of white supremacy that have been sitting on our courthouse square for 110 years. But the faith communities in town are slowly mobilizing to try to put some pressure on our civic leaders to do something about moving that monument. We have these cards. There's some available in here in the coffee room on the table. You can pick them up. There are instructions about how to just make a simple message on the back to send to our county commissioner to say, please do something to move that thing. We do not need the symbol for white supremacy still standing in front of our perceived center of justice. The other thing you can do, you can show up on Saturday, September the 14th, 12:30, noontime kind of thing. Join a bunch of other folks who are going to be gathering around the monument on the square to kind of publicly say, we want this thing moved. Until we have more and more people to do that, I read this week in the Williamson County Sun, someone say, that's a bunch of northerners coming down here with these crazy ideas. We need to say, no, we live here. They're not people coming down here creating that problem. So it's an opportunity to turn out to have your voice and presence be known.
All right, I have two announcements. I'll do my best to model two strong sentences. First, mission, vision, covenant thoughts, wooden box. You write, you put in. I don't know, I'm not sure the commitment was to stop making full sentences, but the other one is, please do keep an eye out for that small group email coming out this week. And reply to it in a timely way. And if you feel like I've taken advantage of time rushing to get you to say yes, when if you had longer to think about it, you might get to say no, you could be right. Thank you for sharing and for connecting us to each other and to the world beyond. Finally, if you are called to share a gratitude with one another, please do so. Now, let me make a clarification here. Someone asked the very insightful, brilliant, and diligent question, I don't understand the difference between joys and gratitudes. So, let me just say it. A joy is you publicly praising something that's bringing you joy. That could be anything. But praise is between you and the powers of the universe. Gratitude, in this instantiation of it, is connection. Gratitude is about, Bill, I really appreciate the way you show up and sing with me in the front of service every day. And Mel, I'm just grateful that the two of you stand up there on either side of me and we sing together and try to make this motley crew and my terrible voice something somebody could gather around like an ancient campfire. Do you get what I'm saying? A gratitude is a moment for you to strengthen a connection with somebody, usually in this room, maybe online, by saying, I see you, I appreciate you, you mean something to me. That's what if you want to know what I'm hoping for by having a section labeled gratitude, that's what it is. So, this is not the point, I could do this. I'm grateful to everyone who showed up today. I'm grateful to the tech team who worked so hard back there, the musicians who practice every week to put on a show. The amount that I'm able to just focus on what I need to do to get up here every week and just am able to have such tremendous faith that the other members of this community are showing up to do their pieces, and we get to do this every Sunday, is such a blessing. So you all know who you are. If you're showing up week in and week out to make this happen, my gratitude is nearly bottomless. Any other practices of gratitude that people would like to do? Walt.
Hi, I'm Walt. My wife Fran asked me to convey her thanks to everybody from last weekend cutting her hair. Now that was quite a radical change. I thought Michelle's hair, when she got her hair cut, was radical. But you can't imagine what it's like to sit across the dinner table, look up, and see a wife that had long, beautiful hair, bald. It's radical. So anyway, her thanks to everybody.
I'm being very talkative today. Linda Mueller back again. I have a gratitude for all of you who share during times of sorrow or gratitude. However, if you don't have the mic close to your mouth like I'm doing, I can't hear you. So would everyone please try to remember to speak not like this, but like this? An old lady would be very happy.
I'm always grateful for the truth and openness of Linda Mueller. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Smith. I'm really grateful that today I got to go out for RE. Quick reminder, we y'all want to share in this, okay? We have plans coming up. We will have a meeting. We are looking for volunteers.
I'm grateful to Mel for what you're saying about 16 tons. What do you get? I don't know if that was deliberate for Labor Day, but it reminded me of all of those folks that we all depend on who toil in labor every day. And so thank you for that reminder to say something tomorrow to those people. Thank you for that reminder.
Well, I'm Mimi, and I don't know if this meets the description of what you said, but I am just so grateful to this beautiful summer we have experienced. I was so dreading summer. When March came, I could just think 100, 105, 110. We have had rain, we have had temperatures that were bearable, and when I went walking this morning, we had green grass all over my neighborhood, and I think about the millions and billions of people that are suffering with war-torn places, floods, and other things, and I am so grateful for this beautiful summer.
Amen. For all this and more, we are truly and deeply grateful. Thank you all, and amen. Our second hymn, Love Will Guide Us, number 131 in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit as you're able.
As we prepare to return to the world, we remind ourselves through our affirmation to carry our work from this place to every corner of our lives. Please join me in the call and response. The doctrine of this church is love. We are here to love. The quest of truth is its sacrament. We are here to learn. Service is its prayer. We are here to care for others. To dwell together in peace. We are here to live in peace. To seek knowledge and freedom. We are here to honor our differences. To serve humanity in fellowship. We are all connected in spirit. To the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. We are here to grow. Thus do we covenant with one another. This we promise to do together. Please join me in reciting the words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame to remind us love is the center. As we explore and rest, engage and heal, love remains the center. When all we can see is cold ashes, love remains.
May you find questions more profound than answers, play more proficient than mastery, vulnerability more powerful than invincibility, supplication more productive than control, and a peace that passeth all understanding.